Hey everybody, I was just coming to make a quick video about something that I learned while I was doing my Bible study. So today I was, over the past couple of weeks, I was reading about Joseph. I was led to go back and read the story again. And this time when I read the story, I saw a different perspective of the story. Or I noticed some different things in the story. So the story of Joseph is in Genesis chapter 37. It starts with Genesis chapter 37, and we're going to read a little bit because I want you to see what I saw when I was reading. So it starts Genesis chapter 37. It says, "And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's women. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Jacob more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him." And so just summarizing what was said was Joseph was out there in the field feeding the flock with his brothers, and his brothers didn't really like him so much because they knew that his father loved him more than them. Chapter 37, verse number 5. "And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more." And I've read this story many, many times before, and I knew that Joseph was the dreamer. But I guess the depth of the dream was what I skipped over. It said that he dreamed a dream, and he told his brethren, and they hated him. His brothers hated him because of the dream that God had given him. "And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood round about, and made obeisance, to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words." His brothers hated him even more for the dream that God had placed inside of him. Sometimes people hate you for what God has given you, what God has placed inside of you that you didn't even ask for. His brethren hated him because of the dream that God had placed inside of him or had given him. "And he dreamed yet another dream," this is verse number 9, "and told it to his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said, What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to you to the earth?" And his brothers envied him, but his father observed the saying. Verse number 12, "And his brethren went to feed their flocks in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not your brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray you, see whether it be well with your brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the valley of Chevron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What do you seek? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray you, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said said one to another, behold, this dreamer comes. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. So his brothers wanted to kill him because they did not want the dream to come to pass. They plotted to kill him, and he already come up with their lies that they were going to tell. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. So Reuben was the only one that came to his defense. And it came to pass, when Reuben was coming to his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brethren and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by Egyptian merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. So let's recap. The brothers did not like Joseph because of the dream that Joseph told his brothers, because of the things that were revealed in the dream. They understood it, and they were like, we will never bow to you. So they tried to kill him, thinking that they will kill the dream. Wow. And let's skip over to chapter 39. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, brought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And Yahuwah was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man. Even in all this, God was still with Joseph. We think when we go through things that God is not with us. God was with Joseph. And he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of the Egyptian. And his Lord saw that Yahuwah was with him, and that Yahuwah made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him. And he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put in his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that Yahuwah blessed the Egyptian house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of Yahuwah was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. All because Joseph was there, he was blessed. That house was blessed because of who was in their house. How awesome is that? So then we're going to skip over to 31, still chapter 39, verse 21. Let me see. I'm trying to really summarize everything without reading everything. You will have to go back and read the story for yourself. But the woman in the house, Pharaoh's wife, wanted Joseph. No, it was Potiphar's wife who wanted Joseph. And Joseph refused, so she falsely accused him of raping her. And he ended up being thrown into prison. But all of this was a plan. God had a plan for it all. And it said, they took him and put him in prison, verse 20, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But Yahuwah was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So every place that Joseph was thrown, it was favor given to him. God was with him, whatever he was thrown to, in the pit, at the house, at Potiphar's house, and in the prison. It said God was with him, and he was shown mercy, and he was given favor. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because Yahuwah was with him. And that which he did, Yahuwah made it to prosper. So then while Joseph was in there, a butler and who else was it? It was the butler who had a dream and the baker had a dream. And Joseph was able to interpret their dreams. So skipping through, Pharaoh has a dream. This is in chapter 41, and this is verse 25. So Pharaoh has a dream, and he needs help interpreting his dream. So the butler remembered Joseph. He forgot him at first, but he ended up remembering him when Pharaoh needed someone to interpret his dream. So verse number 25, and Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. Elohim has showed Pharaoh what he's about to do. The thing that was so interesting is we discount our dreams so much. I never even thought to even have second thoughts about my dream, because I'm like, oh, that was a crazy dream. Oh, that was a good dream. Oh, I had a dream. But now that I'm looking at the passage, or looking at the scripture, I'm realizing that things were revealed in these dreams. God was giving us spiritual intel in our dreams. But then I also noticed that even with Pharaoh, God was giving him insight as well. And I don't think Pharaoh belonged to God at that time. But he still was warning him about what was to come. I thought that was interesting. So it said, Elohim had showed Pharaoh what he was about to do in his dreams, y'all. The 7 good kind are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty years blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What Elohim is about to do, he showed unto Pharaoh. That is so interesting. Because like I said, I have discounted my dreams or not even understood what my dreams meant. But sometimes when we have our dreams, it's God giving us insight as to what is to come or what's going on around us. So I thought that was very interesting. And then it said, verse 29 of chapter 41, it said, behold, there were 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of that famine following. For it shall be very grievous, and for that the dream was double unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by Elohim, and Elohim will shortly bring it to pass. How many of you have had a dream that you have had more than one time, and you was like, why I keep having that dream? Maybe because God is trying to tell you something, or let you in on something, or giving you insight to something. Because in the scripture, it says, and for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. And then it breaks it down and says, it is because the thing is established by Elohim, and Elohim will shortly bring it to pass. That taught me something right there. I have to pay attention to my dreams when I have them. Especially those double dreams, if you have double dreams. So anyway, let's see, because we're going to skip over to verse 38. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Holy Spirit is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as Elohim has showed you all this, there is none so discreet and wise as you are. You shall be over my house, and according to your words shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck. All this came to be because his brothers threw him in the pit. Chapter 41, verse 46. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And then skipping down, Joseph was given, well, two sons were born to Joseph before the years of famine came. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, because he has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name for the second was called Ephraim, for Elohim has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 year of plenteousness that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of famine began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the famine was in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all of the Egyptians, go unto Joseph. What he says to you, do. And the famine was all over the face of the earth. I'm on verse 57, chapter 41. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy grain, because there was famine, because the famine was so sore in all the lands. So all because Joseph's brother didn't like him. He revealed his dreams to the brothers, and they was like, we can't have that. So then they tried to kill the dream. They figured that if they killed him, they would kill the dream. That didn't happen. So then he ended up being sold off, and then when he's sold off, he ends up being put over everything. There's some stuff that come before that. But then he's able to interpret the dream of Pharaoh. And then he's able to store up, prepare the land for the time of famine. But then let's see what happened after that. Let's go to chapter... I'm just going to tell y'all because it's a lot. His father ended up finding out that there was grain, and he sent the brothers down to get some. And Joseph recognizes them. He ends up feeding his brothers who did this to him. You go back and read the story so you can get the full understanding, because the part that stood out to me was the dream part of it. I had already read so many times about the famine in the land, but I never picked up on the part of the dream aspect of it. So chapter 45, verse 5, he said to his brothers, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold. Now therefore, be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that you sold me hither, for Elohim did send me before you to preserve life. God had a plan for what they were doing to him. For these 2 years has the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but Elohim. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh, a ruler throughout all the land. Haste ye and go up to my father and say unto him, thus says your son Joseph, Elohim has made me Adon of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not, and you shall dwell in the land of Goshen. And you shall be near unto me, you and your children and your children's children, and your flocks and your herds and all that you have. And there will I nourish you, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty. They tried to kill him because of the dream and because of their jealousy. And in that, he ended up being sold off and preparing a place for them to feed them during the famine. I just thought that was interesting. I read that. I've been reading about Joseph for the last 2 weeks. And like I said, I had already read about I already knew about the famine and all that. But what stuck out to me this time was about the dream portion. And I was like, wow, I never even thought that my dreams were anything to think about, really. If I remembered them when I woke up. But when the word was saying that he revealed these things to Pharaoh in a dream, and Pharaoh wasn't even his. I thought that was interesting. And also he gave Joseph dreams about what was to come. And then it said that the dream doubled, which meant that it was established. But God was gracious enough to give them warning, even in dreams. And that way Joseph knew to start preparing for famine. And in that, he was able to save his whole family. Well, to save his brothers. And he said, y'all didn't do that. God did that. God allowed that to happen, so that Joseph would be in position. I just thought that was awesome. So I hope you got something out of that today, because I thought that was just so good. So thank you for joining, and I will see you the next time.